Monday Morning Matters.
Perspectives
From Southeast Asia.
Hi, this is Arlene. You're back with me again on Monday Morning Matters. So, on the previous segment, we discussed on promoting leadership with integrity. In this segment, we discuss in-depthly how can we make Malaysia great again. And I'm still with Dato Lawrence Low, founder of MyPerintis. So, Dato Lawrence,
Thank you. Yeah.
when it comes to young people today, do you think they are ready to face the challenges of politics, social and economy in the country?
Well, it's never ready or not. If you're not ready, you're always not ready. If you are ready, then you are ready. So it's time to equip them. I think that's the core challenge, is to equip them to be ready for the challenges.
Do you think younger generation today are more apathy towards their surrounding, especially in politics? Or are they started to feel that, hey, I need to do something about it?
Well, I think there is an increase in understanding that they need to contribute and they need to do something. But of course, youths generally may be a little bit choosy. Sometimes they will rather to focus more on volunteering, social work. But
there's nothing wrong about it.
No. There's one that, like I said, everybody is doing a good job outside, which is all right. But we must also know that politics is very important as well. Economics is also fairly important as well. So we hope that more youths will step up. Not to say that you have to be a politician, to be actually giving your thoughts or even your 2 cents on politics in Malaysia. You do not necessarily need to be a very famous economist to talk about the economic of Malaysia, but a fair amount of knowledge in every different segment is very crucial, is very important, because we all know that it's interrelated. A stable politics, stable economics, and that's where you get a stable society. So a fair amount of knowledge in every segment is very important.
Let's touch on politics first. I mean, Malaysia has a huge political challenge if we compare it to other countries. A lot of the experts are saying that Malaysian politics is more of personality worshipping. So a lot of people will follow certain personality because either they believe in that person or they are fond of the person's leadership style. But, if Malaysia were to move forward, to be a more mature democracy, the society needs to be mature as well. I mean, we need to debate about policy. We need to disagree with certain things that, even though we might like the leader, certain things that are being said by certain leaders. And talking about how we can move forward to be a more mature society in politics, what would you suggest?
I suggest the first thing first is actually to allow people to speak, allow people to speak up. Be it in the political party, be it in the coalition, or be it in the opposition. I think first thing, you must allow people to express their thoughts and feelings, and to give their 2 cents. But I realize that sometimes young people, why are they generally not interested in politics, is also because that their voice are usually not being taken account for. And a lot of those political parties that are already very long in the country tend to have such problems. So I think first thing first is to allow people to speak freely, but of course in a responsible manner, but open up the doors to more people to speak up, to more people to give their ideas. Then they will see that, hey, actually, I do really can play a role. If not, what is the point to speak up where people do not really actually care about what I say?
One of the interesting things that I observe in the American politics today is the fact that in the primaries, the leaders, both Democrats and also Republicans, they go from state to state to debate on policy issues. And what's interesting about it is people actually either agree or disagree based on the issues. And do you think that sort of I guess, format should be implemented in Malaysia, especially with our politicians?
Well, definitely, I think that is a very constructive manner of how people understand what is your stand as a politician or even as a prime minister or even to become the president of the United States. So the people has a clearer picture of what you will bring to the country if you win the election. So that is exactly what I feel. Of course, the political settings and etc. is a little bit different in Malaysia due to our multiracial and society and etc. But the general outlook of that, yes, it's very important for our leaders to be able to articulate what is it that they want to promote or what is it they want to push for if they are elected into the parliament. And yes, that is very lack of. And even when you see issues arises, politician A will invite politician B, and usually the politician B will run away. But this time I think we will have a good debate, especially on the current Penang chief minister's issue, where he accepted the debate. And this, I think, is should not be taken as something very, is something fun. People say, "I'll take a popcorn," but it is something that you should listen to both sides and see how come one issue they have two different thinking and two different minds about one certain issue, and which angle do they come from, and the people will have a clearer picture of what is actually going on.
Let's move on to another challenge that the younger generation, of course, being mainly affected is the economic challenge.
Yes.
When it comes to unemployment, increased cost of living, the younger generation will be the first to be affected. How can actually we move forward from this?
The young generation has to also not only they have to first upgrade themselves, and of course the youths generally are very focused only on academic and their studies in the universities, but actually they know that university is just a place for them to gain knowledge of what they need to know in their degree or subject, but there are more things outside that you must and you should take aware of.
So education system today don't really prepare us to the real world?
I would say sadly no, and there's a very big gap between the private institution and the public institution. As we can see, more students in the public institution tend to be more interested in getting government jobs and even to have a stable life, whereas you see the youths in the private universities seems to be more to be entrepreneurs or even to work in a corporate company to have higher pay and etc. So I think I can see a very big gap between the students that we have outreach to.
But what is the mindset? What is the disconnect?
I think the disconnect is also depending on who are the teachers, who are the lecturers. I think basically in terms of the books or the things that they study is about the same, but it's just the mentality of the community.
What is the mentality?
I think maybe it's experience. So maybe certain person will pass down this experience to the seniors, and the seniors will pass down the experience to their juniors, and that is how they form that ecosystem or even the community that IPTA students will tend to be more of that, and IPTS will tend to more of that. And it's in also the openness of the institution in accepting new people or new organizations to come in and help their students, the openness of the senior management of the universities. So I have been working around with a lot of different universities, and I can see some chancellors or some vice chancellors, they're very open, they're very excited, come and help our students. But there are also that say that, sorry, we are good enough, so we don't really need you. So I think that is very crucial.
Do you think youth today are receptive to globalization?
They are receptive. I think they know that now with social media, thanks to Facebook, now we are actually everywhere. We are basically already a globalized community. But the issue is, are we ready to face the people there? So yes, we embrace our multiracial, or we embrace what we have, but are we ready to meet the world? Are our youths ready to see people across the sea? Are we able to sit on the same table with them and articulate on the same topic? Because a lot of issues now may even be international. It's not
Yeah.
just about the country.
That's true. I mean, I highlight one issue that is critical in this country but seldom being discussed intellectually, which
Yeah.
is the issue of immigrants and refugees,
Yes.
especially. In other countries, especially developed countries, they would welcome refugees, for example, in Canada, and see them as assets of
Yes.
the future assets of Canada. But in Malaysia, it seems like the overall view on refugees and immigrants, they seem to be placed at the lowest rung of society.
Yes.
I think that's also another mindset that needs to be changed.
I think for that issue particularly is you should have a follow through of the programs or even follow through of your initiatives. Let's say, for example, if we want to really help these refugees to reside or even to stay in Malaysia.
Or debate a proper policy on how to deal with
Exactly.
the effects of globalization.
Exactly. So putting them in Malaysia, of course, now with all these human rights activists, we all should be treated as a single, we are human. But it's just that you should have a clearer policy. Or if they are accepted into Malaysia, they should be maybe or also entitled to education or even to, because it's a cycle. So if they come in and they are not legally and then they cannot have education, so when they have kids, the kids are also illegal. So it's a cycle, and this thing will continue to grow. So I think it's good to have that heart that we want to help. But the government itself should have a follow-through on what is next in terms of helping them.
And most importantly, community and the younger generations, they should chip in to provide a proper sort of analysis and understanding of how to deal with such global issues.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Anyway, before we end the show, perhaps a bit of just words towards the younger generation that if you may share.
Thank you. So I think for the youth of Malaysia, I'm also a youth myself. So I think hand in hand, we should all stand up together. We should be doing things together. So this is not only about MyPerintis, it's about the future. So I always share with people two quotes that I always keep in my heart as well. If you cannot do big things, it is alright, but you do small things in a great way. So this is what I also see. Leaders, the youths are not only the leaders of tomorrow, but today we are the leader as well. We do not want to complain that this is the type of country that we inherit from our current leaders. But what have you also done? What have you also do to make sure that by the time you become the leader of the country, this is exactly what I want for Malaysia. So I hope that together, let's make Malaysia great together.
Thank you very much.
You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.